Hi there. I'm Frank Thompson, and it has been my great privilege and honor to direct and coordinate the little Halloween confection you're about to enjoy. Since the onset of COVID 19, a lot of things have changed, and Halloween is no different. So this year, we decided to get together and just make it happen in a new and unique way. The vignettes you're about to enjoy represent multiple states and various communities, all of whom could use your help. And since we are not subsidized or part of any group, all we ask is that if you enjoy what you see, give a little something to the arts group of your choice. I am obviously partial to the theater, but there's also the ballet. There's also the visual arts, the Philharmonic, even down to your local piano school. Anything that offers artistic expression, please help support it right now because we're all struggling. And until science and medicine can figure something out, we're going to have to continue getting creative. But artists are going to art, and it's going to happen. So until we can all get back to the theater and get life back to normal, we hope you enjoyed yourselves. We certainly had a good time. Happy Halloween.
Greeting, ghosts and goblins, ghouls and fools, and monsters of every shape and size. It is I, the King of Halloween. And despite the efforts of the current year and a not-so-popular virus, their efforts to cancel my beautiful holiday has caused me to come to a very important realization. I refuse to give up. I refuse to go silently in the night. I refuse to allow them to win. Therefore, as King of Halloween, I have gathered an assortment of mortals to read excerpts from literature's greatest forms of darkness, of the macabre, the gothic. These excerpts will play on your mind. They will make fear creep into your very soul. It's going to be a rip-roaring good time. So, let us begin, shall we? The boy. Enjoy.
It was the same way every Halloween. An awkward witch's brew of embarrassment, disappointment, and frustration. This year would be no different. The boy was not very creative, nor good with his hands, as was demonstrated by the shabby state of his hand-fashioned Halloween costume. October 31st was supposed to be a night of tricks or treats, but the boy knew that his miserable failure of a costume was elicit only laughter and ridicule. The boy caught up with his friends, and they canvassed the neighborhood door to door, shouting tricks or treats. Candy, chocolates, apples, treats of all kinds flew into the buckets and sacks carried by the children. But for the boy, it was the same at every house. The same as last year, the same as the year before. The gnawing sensation in his gut was a twisting blade each time a trick thudded into his sack. The sack grew heavier and heavier as the evening progressed, as heaviness pressed against his eyes and his mind and in his gut. The party that followed the tricks or treats was a lively one. One kid, the talented one whom all the girls said was cute, played the piano. There was a washtub of water, apples floating languidly, ready to be plucked. There were Halloween games. The other children laughed, played, and squealed with delight, each having a marvelous time. But the boy merely observed, a tattered spectre in a low-rent costume. By and by, the children emptied their pails and sacks, spreading their candy on the floor next to the piano. A rainbow of colors, myriad shapes and sizes of reds and greens and blues and violets. Lollipops, gumdrops, wax lips, licorice, and even the occasional apple or orange were splayed upon the floor. The children gluttonously delved into their treasures. The boy, sitting alone in a corner, emptied his own sack onto the floor, anger and disappointment welling up within him. Before him, on the floor, were a pile of cold, soulless rocks. The boy counted them solemnly. One by one they mocked him with their collective presence. There was one rock for each kid at the party, he realized. The boy held one in his hand, feeling its cold weight, the dark stone whispering dread into the blackness of his confused mind. The boy approached the kid nearest him, who sat cross-legged on the floor examining a multicolored lollipop. Without hesitation, without mercy or even a second thought, the boy raised high his hand and struck out with uncommon violence. The kid toppled over. The boy continued to strike over and over with unbridled rage. When he stopped, breathless, he noticed that the child's skull above the left eye socket had been crushed in like a partially deflated basketball. Blood oozed over the kid's face and was splattered on the little blue blanket bunched up at the kid's side. The boy turned to the other children, unsuspecting, and one by one enacted his revenge. The blows were merciless, violent, unending. Years of disappointment and humiliation simmered and then boiled over as the boy crushed the skulls of the other kids at the party. One by one, skull by skull, rock by soulless rock. When it was over, he gathered up their sacks and their pails, and he gathered up all the candy that had been spread upon the floor, even those candies splattered with their blood. He made his way silently to the front door. The boy paused and looked back at the carnage he had rendered, and it moved him not. Nothing stirred now in his soul. No disappointment, no regret, not even the intense rage that had moments ago possessed him. He was numb now, numb but determined. In his pocket there remained a single stone. Yes, this one was the heaviest of them all. The boy drifted stealthily into the nighttime, the final rock clutched in his hand, in search of his dog.
Oh, that was a good time, wasn't it? I quite enjoyed it. Oh, you know, with all of this spookiness going around, I can't help but think about monsters. Monsters come in so many shapes and sizes. Yes, they can be large and terrifying, like Frankenstein's monster. Or they can be teeny tiny, like a disease or a plague as black as death. Which brings me to our next reading. A lovely poem or limerick I appear, titled The Hag. I hope you enjoy it as much as I.
The hag is astride this night for to ride, the devil and she together, through thick and through thin, now out and then in, though ne'er be so foul the weather. A thorn bear she takes for a spur. With the lash of a bramble she rides now, through brakes and through briars, o'er ditches and mires. She follows the spirit that guides her. No beast for his food dares now range the wood, but hushed in his lair he lies lurking, while mischiefs by these on land and on seas at noon of night are working. The storm will arise and trouble the skies this night, and more for the wonder. The ghost from the tomb, affrighted shall come, called out by the clap of the thunder.
My, that was fun. You know, we've done a lot of spooking and scaring. But you know, Halloween isn't just about being terrifying, or hideous, or monstrous. It's not just about striking fear into people. No. At the end of the day, it's a grand time for families to come together. I mean, nothing brings a family together like a chainsaw-wielding murderer. But when the chainsaw murderer leaves, sometimes you want to sit down and watch a family occasion during the holidays. And I believe one of my personal favorites is Charlie Brown. Yes. So, just to put a smile on my face, and possibly yours, enjoy an excerpt from Charlie Brown's The Great Pumpkin.
On Halloween night, the Great Pumpkin rises out of the pumpkin patch with his bag of toys for all the good little boys and girls. Each year, the Great Pumpkin rises out of the pumpkin patch that he thinks is the most sincere. He's got to pick this one. He's got to. I don't see how a pumpkin patch can be more sincere than this one. You can look around and there's not a sign of hypocrisy as far as the eye can see. Nothing but sincerity. It won't be long now till the Great Pumpkin comes. If the Great Pumpkin comes, I will still put in a good word for you. What I just said, good grief. I said if. I meant to say when he comes. Oh, I'm doomed. One little slip like that can cause the Great Pumpkin to pass you by. Oh, Great Pumpkin. Oh, Great Pumpkin, where are you? Stupid? What do you mean, stupid? Just wait till next year, Charlie Brown. You'll see next year at this same time, I'll find a pumpkin patch that is real sincere, and I'll sit in that pumpkin patch until the Great Pumpkin appears. He'll rise out of that pumpkin patch. He'll fly through the air with his bag of toys. The Great Pumpkin will appear, and I'll be waiting for him. I'll be there. I'll be sitting there in that pumpkin patch, and I'll see the Great Pumpkin. Just wait and see, Charlie Brown. I'll see that Great Pumpkin. I'll see the Great Pumpkin. Just you wait and see, Charlie Brown. The Great Pumpkin will appear, and I will be waiting for him.
Oh, chills. Simple chills. Right down to my bones. You know, as the king of Halloween, I do enjoy hearing of so many traditions that are in my holiday. You know, whether it be asking for treats. No, sorry. Demanding for treats. We deserve them. Or perhaps throwing eggs and paper towels and toilet paper across a house. Or something as most beloved as a haunted house. I do love a good haunted house, where you never really know what could be inside. Could be a witch, could be a ghost, a vampire waiting to suck your blood. A haunted house is filled with so many surprises, which evidently means that there is no surprise when I tell you that the next reading is entitled The Haunted House. Enjoy.
All houses wherein men have lived and died are haunted houses. Through the open doors, the harmless phantoms on their errands glide, but feet that make no sound upon the floors. We meet them at the doorway, on the stair, along the passages they come and go. Impalpable impressions on the air, a sense of something moving to and fro. There are more guests at tables than the hosts invited. The illuminated hall is thronged with quiet, inoffensive ghosts, as silent as the pictures on the wall. The stranger at my fireside cannot see the forms I see, nor hear the sounds I hear. He but perceives what is, while unto me all that has been invisible is clear. We have no title deeds to house or lands. Owners and occupants of earlier dates, from graves forgotten, stretch their dusty hands, and hold in mortmain still their old estates. The spirit world around this world of sense floats like an atmosphere, and everywhere wafts through these earthly mists and vapors dense a vital breath of more ethereal air. Our little lives are kept in equipoise by opposite attractions and desires. The struggle of the instinct that enjoys and the more noble instincts that aspires. These perturbations, this perpetual jar of earthly wants and aspirations high, comes from the influence of an unseen star, an undiscovered planet in the sky. And as the moon from some dark gate of cloud throws over the sea a floating bridge of light, across whose trembling planks our fancies crowd into the realm of mystery and night, so from the world of spirits there descends a bridge of light connecting it with this, o'er whose unsteady floor that sways and bends, wander our thoughts above the dark abyss.
Such perfection in that read, wouldn't you agree? You know, as king of Halloween, I of course have a soft spot for the holiday. I truly do love Halloween. Oh yes. When October 1st rolls around, I feel such strength, such power, as the cool breeze enters. I believe this may help you understand my connection with the holiday by a reading of the excerpt from It's Halloween. Enjoy.
There's a goblin as green as a goblin can be, and he's sitting outside and he's waiting for me. When he knocked on my door and said softly, "Come play," I said, "No, thank you, please go away." But the goblin, as green as a goblin can be, is still sitting outside, and he's waiting for me. Ah!
Let never a man a wooing wend that lacketh things three, a store of gold, an open heart, and full of charity. And this was seen of King Henry, though he lay quite alone, for he's taken him to a haunted hall 7 miles from the town. He's chased the deer now him before, and the doe down by the lane, till the fattest buck in all the flock King Henry he has slain. His huntsmen followed him to the hall to make them burly cheer, when loud the wind was heard to sound, and an earthquake rocked the floor, and darkness covered all that hall where they sat at their meat. The grey dogs yowling left their food and crept to Henry's feet, and louder howled the rising wind and burst the fastened door, and in there came a grisly ghost stamping on the floor. Her head hit the roof tree of the house, her middle you could not span. Each frightened huntsman fled the hall and left the king alone. Her teeth were like the tether stakes, her nose like lub or mail, and nothing less she seemed to be than a fiend that comes from hell. Some meat, ye King Henry, come meat ye give to me. Go kill your horse, ye King Henry, and bring him here to me. He's gone and slain his berry-bound steed, though it made his heart full sore, for she's eaten up both skin and bone, and left nothing but hide and hair. More meat, ye King Henry, more meat ye give to me. Go kill your greyhounds, King Henry, and bring them here to me. And when he's slain his good greyhounds, it made his heart full sore, for she's eaten up both skin and bones, and left nothing but hide and hair. More meat, ye King Henry, more meat ye give to me. Go fell your goshawks, King Henry, and bring them here to me. And when he's slain his gay goshawks, it made his heart full sore, for she's eaten them up both skin and bone, and left nothing but feathers there. Some drink, now King Henry, some drink you give to me. Oh, you sew up your horse's hide and bring in a drink to me. And he's sewn up the bloody hide and a pipe of wine put in, and she's drank it all up in one draught and left never a drop therein. A bed now, King Henry, a bed you'll make for me. Oh, you must pull the heather green and make it soft for me. And pulled has he the heather green and made for her a bed. And taken has he his gold mantle and o'er it he has spread. Take off your clothes now, King Henry, and lie down by my side. Now swear, ye King Henry, to take me for your bride. Oh, God forbid, says King Henry, that ever the like betide, that ever a fiend that comes from hell should stretch down by my side. When the night was gone and the day was come, and the sun shone through the hall, the fairest lady ever was seen lay between him and the wall. I've met with many a gentle knight that gave me such a thrill, but never before a courteous knight who gave me all my will.
A is for Amy, who fell down the stairs. B is for Basil, assaulted by bears. C is for Clara, who wasted away. D is for Desmond, thrown out of the sleigh. E is for Ernest, who choked on a peach. F is for Fanny, sucked dry by a leech. G is for George, smothered under a rug. H is for Hector, done in by a thug. I is for Ida, who drowned in a lake. J is for James, who took life by mistake. K is for Kate, who was struck with an axe. L is for Leo, who swallowed some tacks. M is for Maud, who swept out to sea. N is for Neville, who died of ennui. O is for Olive, run through with it all. P is for Prue, trampled flat in a brawl. Q is for Quentin, sank in the mire. R is for Rhoda, consumed by a fire. S is for Susan, who perished to fits. T is for Titus, who blew into bits. U is for Una, who slipped down the drain. V is for Victor, squashed under a train. W is for Winnie, embedded in ice. X is for Xerxes, devoured by mice. Y is for Yorick, whose head was knocked in. Z is for Zilla, who drank too much gin.
Such a good read. It almost brings a tear to my eye. You know, fear is but one of many emotions that is felt during this time, but there are many other emotions involved. Most of them feed into fear, you know. Sadness, anger, sometimes even happiness can feed to fear. But there is one emotion, one feeling that feeds into fear the most. And that is the feeling of loneliness. We've all felt it once or twice. It's that itching feeling when the night falls and the lights go out and you're trapped in darkness. When you're trapped in that darkness, that is when you truly feel alone. And that loneliness is what feeds into fear. It is that fear of loneliness that brings us to our next reading, because there is no creature lonelier than a little orphan. So enjoy an excerpt from Little Orphan Annie. I hope it brings you as much joy as it brought me. And remember, when it's really dark, and I mean really dark, and it's really quiet, you're never truly alone.
Little orphan Annies come to our house to stay, and wash the cups and saucers up, and brush the crumbs away, and shoo the chickens off the porch, and dust the hearth and sweep, and make the fire, and bake the bread, and earn her board and keep. And all us other children, when the supper things is done, we set around the kitchen fire, and has the mostest fun, a-listening to the witch tales that Annie tells about, and the goblins that get you if you don't watch out. Once there was a little boy who wouldn't say his prayers, and when he went to bed at night away upstairs, his mammy heard him holler and his daddy heard him bawl, and when they turned the covers down, he wasn't there at all. And they seeked him in the rafter room and cubbyhole and press, and seeked him up the chimney flue and everywheres, I guess. And all they ever found was this, his pants and roundabout. And the goblins will get you if you don't watch out. And one time a little girl would always laugh and grin, and make fun of everyone and all her blood and kin. And once when they was company and old folks was there, She mocked him and shocked him and said she didn't care. And this, as she kicked her heels and turned to run and hide, there was two great big black things a-standing by her side, and they snatched her through the ceiling, for she knowed what she's about. And the goblins'll get you if you don't watch out. And little orphan Annie says, when the blaze is blue, and the lampwick sputters, and the wind goes woo, and you hear the crickets quit, and the moon is gray, and the lightning bugs and dew is all squenched away, you better mind your parents and your teachers fond and dear, and cherish them that loves you, and dry the orphan's tear, and help the poor and needy ones that clusters all about, or the goblins'll get you if you don't watch out.
You know, there are many terrifying literatures in this world, but I believe I speak for most when I say that there's one writer who truly understands fear and suspension. Yes. Edgar Allan Poe. His name, it caused a chill in the room. He's accredited for numerous terrifying tales, but I believe there are two that are most famous, at least in my opinion. Number one, which is what we are about to read, is The Raven. The Raven, yes. So, think nevermore, and relax, and enjoy Edgar Allan Poe.
Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, "tapping at my chamber door. Only this, and nothing more." Oh, distinctly I remember it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow, vainly I had sought to borrow from my books surcease of sorrow, sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore, nameless here forevermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purpled curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that now, to still the beating of my heart, I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. Some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. That it is, and nothing more." Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer. "Sir," said I, "or madam, truly your forgiveness I implore, but the fact is I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you. Here I opened wide the door. Darkness there, and nothing more. Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there, wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token, and the only word there spoken was the whispered word, "Lenore?" This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word, "Lenore." Merely this, and nothing more. Back into the chamber turning, All my soul within me burning, soon again I heard a tapping, somewhat louder than before. Surely, said I, surely that is something at my window lattice. Let me see then what thereat is, and this mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment, and the mystery explore. 'Tis the wind, and nothing more. Open here I flung the shutter, when with many a flirt and flutter in there stepped a stately raven of the saintly days of yore. Not the least obeisance made he, nor a minute stop or stayed he, but what the mien of lord or lady, perched above my chamber door, perched upon a bust of Pallas just above my chamber door, perched and sat, and nothing more. Then this ebony bird beguiling all my sad fancy into smiling, by the stern and grave decorum of the countenance it wore. Though thy crest be shorn and shaven, thou, I said, art sure no craven, grim and ghastly ancient raven, wandering from the nightly shore. Tell me what thy lordly name is on the night's Plutonian shore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Much I marvelled at this ungainly fowl to hear discourse so plainly, though its answer little meaning, little relevancy bore. For we cannot help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with seeing bird above his chamber door, bird or beast upon the sculptured bust upon his chamber door, with such name as Nevermore. But the raven, sitting lonely on the placid bust, spoke only that one word, as if his soul in that one word he did outpour. Nothing further then he uttered, not a feather then he fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered, other friends have flown before. On the morrow he will leave me, as my hopes have flown before. Then the bird said, nevermore. Startled at the stillness broken by reply so aptly spoken, doubtless, said I, what it utters is its only stock and store, caught from some unhappy master, whom unmerciful disaster followed fast and followed faster, till his songs one burden bore, till the dirges of his hope that melancholy burden bore, of never, nevermore. But the raven, still beguiling all my fancy into smiling, straight I wheeled a cushioned seat in front of bird and bust and door. Then upon that velvet sinking, I betook myself to linking fancy unto fancy, thinking what this ominous bird of yore, what this grim, ungainly, ghastly, gaunt, and ominous bird of yore meant in croaking nevermore. This I sat engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing, for the fowl whose fiery eyes now burned into my bosom's core. This and more I sat divining, with my head at ease reclining, on the cushion's velvet lining that the lamplight gloated o'er, but whose velvet violet lining with the lamplight gloating o'er she shall press, nevermore. Then methought the air grew denser, perfumed with an unseen censer, swung by seraphim whose footfalls tinkled on the tufted floor. Wretch, I cried, thy God hath lent thee, by these angels he has sent thee, respite, respite and nepenthe from thy memories of Lenore. Quaff, oh quaff this kind nepenthe, and forget this lost Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, whether tempter sent and whether tempest tossed thee here ashore. Desolate, yet all undaunted, on this desert land enchanted, on this home by horror haunted, tell me truly, I implore, is there balm in Gilead? Tell me, I implore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, by that heaven that bends above us, by that God we both adore, tell this soul with sorrow laden, if within the distant Aidenn it shall clasp a sainted maiden whom the angels name Lenore. Clasp a rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Be that word our sign of parting, bird or fiend, I shrieked upstarting. Get thee back into the tempest of the night's Plutonian shore. Leave no black plume as a token of the lie that thy soul has spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken. Quit the bust above my door. Take thy beak from out my heart, and take thy form from off my door. Quoth the raven, nevermore. And the raven, never flitting, still is sitting on the pallid bust of Pallas just above my chamber door. And his eyes have all the seeming of a demon set us dreaming, and the bright light o'er him streaming throws his shadows on the floor. And my soul from out that shadow that lies floating on the floor shall be lifted nevermore.
Melikanamenamenatu melikanamen. Melikanamenamenatu melikanamen. Let his flesh not be torn, let his blood leave no stain. Where they beat him, let him feel no pain. Let his bones never break, and however they try to destroy him, let him never die, let him never die. Melikanamenamenatu melikanamen. Melikanamenamenatu melika. Elika. What good is this chanting? I don't even know what I'm reading. I don't even know what trick I ought to try. Vera, where are you? Already dead or bleeding? One more disaster I can add to my generous supply. No good deed goes unpunished. No act of charity goes unresented. No good deed goes unpunished. That's my new creed. My road of good intentions led where such roads always lead. No good deed goes unpunished. Haunts and hurts. Too much to mention. Was I really seeking good or just seeking attention? Is that all good deeds are when looked at with an ice cold eye? If that's all good deeds are, maybe that's the reason why. No good deed goes unpunished. All helpful urges should be circumvented. No good deed goes unpunished. Sure, I meant well, look at what well meant did. All right, enough. So be it. see it then. Let all odds be agreed. I'm wicked through and through, since I cannot succeed. Fiyero saving you, I promise no good deed will I attempt to do again, ever again. No good deed will I do.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it made you feel fear. Fear is a funny thing. It can come from so many different places. Sometimes it's as simple as hearing a name that can strike fear into you. Like saying Beetlejuice, Michael Myers, ooh, or even Freddy Krueger. Yes, in the world of fear and monsters, names have a lot of power. And for actors and those in the realm of theatre, there is no name that strikes greater fear in an actor than Macbeth. A name that is feared so much that it is only ever allowed to be spoken when you are on stage or you are performing. Any other time, you dare not speak its name. You must call it the Scottish play, or you risk cursing you in your entire performance. Therefore, I hope that you will enjoy a delightful scene from the very play, Macbeth.
Fair is foul and foul is fair, hover through the fog and filthy air. A drum, Macbeth doth come. The weird sisters, hand in hand, posters of the sea and land, thus to go about, thrice to thine, and thrice to mine, and thrice again to make up 9 peace. The charms wound up. Double, toil and trouble, fire burn and cauldron bubble. Fillet of finny snake, in the cauldron boil and bake. Eye of newt and tongue of frog, wool of bat and tongue of dog. Adder's fork and blind worm's sting, lizard's leg and owlet's wing. For a charm of powerful trouble, like a hell broth boil and bubble. Double, toil and trouble, fire burn and cauldron bubble. Cool it by the baboon's blood, and then the charm is firm and good. By the pricking of my thumbs, something wicked this way comes. Open locks, whoever knocks. Macbeth.
Something wicked this way comes.
And crawling on the planet's face, some insects called the human race, lost in time, lost in space and meaning.
afraid of no ghosts. I ain't afraid of no ghosts.